It is Wednesday, June 3rd, 2026. Welcome into First Alert Weather Extra. I am Chief Meteorologist Sam Argier. This is our digitally exclusive streaming weather show. You can find it on Fox 5 Vegas Plus. That is our digital channel, and also our website, fox5vegas.com. Very excited to have meteorologist Les Criffenden joining me today for the broadcast. Good to see you, Les.
Great to see you, too.
Got a lot of fun stuff planned today. Les went out to Gilcrease Orchard. You got a full report coming up on that.
Absolutely, and it gives some very interesting things coming out of Gilcrease for us so far this year.
Well, we love it, and looking forward to hearing about that. Also want to dive into our weather because, Les, we were talking about it just before we hit the air. Temperatures have been kind of up and down the past few months, and I really think this is a great graphic. Now, this is something we don't show much on the air because, well, there's a whole lot of information going on. But if you want to step through it, Les, we've got the red line and the blue line that kind of shows where we're typically at for the high and typically at for the low.
And you take a look at these numbers, we're all over the place, it seems, so far since basically the beginning of May, with temperatures ranging anywhere between the upper 70s and into 104 degrees. But then at the same time, we've seen some pretty cool temperatures as well as we've headed into the months of April, May, and June so far.
Absolutely. And I'll show you we'll take the graphic full screen so viewers at home can get a little bit better look there. But yeah, as Les mentioned, we've had a little kind of dip there in mid-May, and then again, we wrapped up May with some cooler weather. Remember those highs in the low 80s and upper 70s as we went into the end of May, and then June arrived, and right on schedule, Les, we get the heat, and we'll be feeling that here the next few days across our area.
And another cool down on the way for us, possibly by the end of the weekend.
Yeah, so we've got kind of this up and down ride, and one thing that is always the case typically, especially this time of year, as you know, Les, when we see the up and down ride, it comes with the wind. Yeah. So we'll get some more wind out of the bargain for the weekend. We've got a couple first alert weather days we'll dive into in just a second. But here's satellite and radar. Always like to look at that to give us a perspective on what's going on. Pretty quiet. We've seen some high-level clouds, Les, but all the showers and storms off to our east.
We haven't had any significant rain now for several weeks. In fact, we've had less than a ½ inch of rain so far this year. Last year at this time, we had over 2 inches of rain.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, every year is different. Yeah. It's been more than 100 days with measurable precipitation at Reed Airport, so very dry weather. Now, one place that isn't quite so dry, the Rocky Mountains. Now, we've been getting some of this moisture coming in from the south, and that's what we call the summer monsoon as we get into monsoon season, which, of course, we'll be talking a lot about here on First Alert Weather Extra as we get into the warmer months. Typically, Les, you've been forecasting here in southern Nevada for a long time. Usually kind of late June, early July is when we start to see our kind of first taste of that, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely. Monsoon is going to be coming in a matter of a couple of more weeks from now, and hopefully we'll see something coming out of that for us in terms of getting rain, because we are just so bone dry right now.
We really are. And June is, you know, it's our driest month on average. May is the second driest month. So we typically don't see a whole lot of rain this time of year, and certainly that's been living up to it so far. Yeah. But one thing I want to mention is this time of year, of course, Denver, the Mile High City, they can see all kinds of weather out there, Les. Some impressive hail video out of Denver from yesterday. Let's take a look at that. So wow, a lot of action out there in Denver. And that's the thing about hail is a lot of people might think you need really cold air for hail to form, but typically in Las Vegas, we see hail mainly during the summertime mostly when we get those kind of stronger updrafts and the thunderstorms.
Yeah, you know, when you get those thunderstorms, you get a lot of rising moisture, and then it gets coated by more and more ice, and then eventually it comes down as hail because it's simply too heavy for it to stay in the atmosphere. And that's what happened in Denver yesterday. And and that's what we could potentially see later on this year if we are lucky enough to see some sort of measurable monsoon moisture.
Yeah, that's of course what we need. If you don't have the moisture, it's tough to get any thunderstorms going. But I always think what's interesting with hail is you see, some of the supercell thunderstorms across many parts of the country. That it'll be baseball-sized hail. So that just lets you know, as Les mentioned, how strong the updraft has to be in that thunderstorm to sustain it. Because eventually the hailstone will get large enough, it will eventually the updraft will not sustain it in the storm anymore. It'll fall to the ground. But some pretty big hail out there in Denver.
Yeah, and of course the fact that they had not seen a whole lot of winter weather there as well this past year. They got a little bit more in the months of April and early May, but man, it's just been so bone dry throughout most of the southwest.
It really has, and some early indications are we could be seeing a little more of an active monsoon this year, especially for Arizona, New Mexico. So we always say all it takes is a couple, 2, 3 active days, and we can really take a good chunk out of that rainfall deficit here in Southern Nevada. It doesn't take a whole lot for us, so we'll be watching that closely. What we are watching is this low kind of spinning right next to Les right there. That's going to be bringing in some of that wind this weekend, and also, as you mentioned, some of that cooler air as well, which we're looking forward to.
Yeah, we're going to go back down into the low to mid-90s possibly for Sunday and on into next week as well, but that's after seeing our daytime highs climbing up into triple digits. So that up and down yo-yo type of effect in terms of temperatures continues now into the first week of June.
It really does, and I think that's a perfect segue right into our first alert calendar. This is why we have it. It lays out the next 2 weeks, highlights the days with the most impactful weather. We'll take it full screen for our viewers and look at Saturday and Sunday, Les. We're looking at the strongest of the wind on the way, and really targeting Saturday. We could see some wind gusts up around 40, 45 miles per hour on the higher end. So we'll keep an eye on it. I think if we're going to see any wind advisories this weekend, it will come in on Saturday. Now, of course, the Golden Knights, they have the big playoff game. They're back home at T-Mobile Arena for Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Finals. So we'll be watching for some wind out there on Toshiba Plaza with some triple-digit heat. We'll kind of be right around that 100-degree mark as we head into the afternoon. Still windy on Sunday, and then next week, very dry, very warm, and that breeze will be continuing for us. Here's the 7-day, and yeah, the hottest of the weather coming in Thursday and Friday for us. So we've got some big heat here the next couple days at 106 Thursday, Friday. I did look up record highs, Les. The record is 109 each day, so we look to stay just clear of that, but still some pretty warm weather out there on Thursday and Friday.
But I imagine with the 101 on Saturday, that is going to make it with those winds. It's going to feel like you're in a convection oven. And it's going to be so hot with that wind. It's going to be brutal out there. So think about that if you're getting out to Toshiba Plaza for the watch game or watch party, or to go into see the hockey game.
Absolutely, and especially when you're wearing the hockey sweaters going on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You're glad you have them once you get in the rink, but walking in can be a little toasty. Speaking of toasty, here is the breakdown for Thursday. We've got temperatures, look at this, pushing close to 100 degrees by lunchtime, and then as we go into the afternoon, we'll be right around that 105 mark. I've got us at 106 for the forecast high. Average is about 96 this time of year, so these temperatures are a good 10 above average. So even though it's June last week, certainly you're feeling that hot air out there.
And still fairly light winds.
Yeah, not too bad in the wind department tomorrow.
We're okay tomorrow still.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, Friday, we'll kick up the breeze just a little bit more, kind of gusts like 25 to 30. I do want to show this graphic, Les. This is looking at what we call heat risk. And this is a product that the National Weather Service puts out. We'll take a look at what the colors of orange you see right there. Now, the orange means a moderate risk for those sensitive, but look what happens into Thursday and Friday. Remember, those are the two hottest days. We've got some of that red popping up right over the Las Vegas Valley, so that's a high risk for most people. So even though it is June, we expect heat this time of year. These temperatures, again, a good 10 plus degrees above average with not a whole lot of relief overnight. And this is a big part of why we do see the heat risk product issued. It's not always just the daytime high temperatures, but it's also has to do with the overnight low temperatures. When you don't have enough relief overnight, as those temperatures really don't cool off a whole lot, the body just can't really cool off adequately, and it's tough to stay cool out there.
Especially when we start seeing those really warm temperatures like 106. We'll be lucky to get down to 78
Yeah.
degrees, really, when you think about the overnight lows. But, you know, when you have those heat risks, it's really affects everybody, but especially the elderly and very, very young, too. I mean, they have small little bodies, and they can get into a whole lot of trouble very quickly in that heat.
Yeah, absolutely. And another good reminder this time of year, you never, ever, ever want to leave children, pets in the car for any length of time, no matter what time of day. So always a good reminder this time of year as we're really starting to see the temperatures kind of peak on up. So this is Friday's heat risk. We'll notice the kind of red will fade away on Saturday. That's when we start to work in some of that wind we talked about. So kind of more in the orange, which is a moderate risk. And then even the orange fades away Sunday as that relief comes our way less. As you were mentioning, we start to bring those temperatures back down into the 90s for early next week. So heat risk, we talk a lot about it during the summertime. When we start to see those 110 plus days, that's when we start to see that kind of magenta color, the highest of the risks, and when we start to see extreme heat warnings issued and that sort. So we'll be watching it. Certainly, though, Thursday, Friday, the hottest days. There's a little heat relief on Sunday at 98, and then we kind of just settle in nice and easy, mid to upper 90s, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, with that breeze at times.
Which is very manageable.
Yeah.
Double-digit temperatures in the month of June is always great to have. And certainly, I keep going back to 2 years ago when we had those incredible temperatures that we had well into triple digits, like 120, 118, 117 degrees for the summer.
Yeah.
That was a brutal, brutal summer. So, so far, it looks like we're doing okay.
Yeah, well, we're doing good. As we all know, June can escalate quickly, and so can July. I mean, those temperatures can come on rather quickly. So this is why we have our first alert calendar. When we start to see it, even 2 weeks out, we're going to give you that first alert and give you the early heads up.
Yeah, and we're really just, what, 2.5 weeks away from the start of the monsoon season for us here.
June,
which is
June 15th.
Yeah, which means interesting weather potentially coming our way. Hopefully we'll get some rain out of that.
Yeah, we'd love to see it, and we'll be with you every step of the way. So we've been talking about the heat, Les. Want to talk about your story. You went out to Gilcrease Orchard a few weeks back, and you got some videos, so we're going to roll that clip, and we'll talk a bit about it right after the video. Let's take a look.
We're about 2 to 3 weeks earlier on almost everything.
For Gilcrease Orchard's director, Mark Rubin, that's good news, or it should be. Yes, blackberries and apricots are growing nicely. Other produce, not so much. Apples, for instance.
Apples a smaller crop because they didn't get the chilling. They need usually like 800 hours of chilling. That's below 40 degrees. And we just didn't get that.
Strawberries, on the other hand, are growing well ahead of schedule, but pluops, a hybrid of 1 part apricot and 3 parts plum, are nowhere to be seen. Blackberries right now are like a bumper crop growing underneath a canopy that it shares with other fruits and vegetables.
This area here with the blackberries that you can see, we were never able to harvest any usable fruit. And now it's covered in fruit and it looks good.
Beyond the warmer than normal temperatures, the canopy it sits under has helped prevent sun from burning the crop. Gilcrease has 7+ acres of canopy that covers blackberries, strawberries, and even cantaloupes.
Well, this is our cantaloupe field right here, and it's doing well, and it's a little bit ahead of schedules.
It's all local, and much of it is pick your own. Are you a little concerned as we head into the heat of the summer?
Yeah, I just hope it's not as hot as it was 2 years ago, where that was just torture for everything.
That was the summer where we saw the highest ever daytime high in Las Vegas at 120 degrees, not to mention weeks where the highs climbed or exceeded 110 degrees. That heat took a toll on some of their crops.
All the tomatoes died.
Rubin is keeping a close watch on apples. He admits it's a struggle to keep apples and grow apples. In the coming years, they may decide to cut back on them in favor of other fruits and vegetables.
It's just a learning curve for growing nowadays.
Les Crittenden, Fox 5 News, local, Las Vegas.
So interesting, you know, how they really have to work with the weather at Gilcrease Orchard. You were talking about some of the mitigation there with the canopies. That's already made a difference this season.
Huge difference because they've had very, very good crop of strawberries, berries. Their tomatoes are doing well. A couple of years ago, we had that big heat wave that hit us toward the summer. It virtually wiped out their tomato crops. So this year, they're doing very well on that as well. What maybe not doing quite as well are the apples because the heat that that we had earlier in the year. They needed a prolonged period of colder air at nighttime for the apples to sort of grow, and they didn't have that, especially if you remember at the end of March we had those 90-degree temperatures.
Yeah.
So that was a very critical time for the apple to be growing, and it just didn't happen for them. So they'll have smaller apples this year, but they'll still get a good crop.
Yeah, and I always love Gilcrease Orchard. Of course, it's such a popular spot during the fall season. As Halloween approaches, everyone goes out there to pick out the pumpkins. But even during the summertime, I mean, they kind of limit the hours a little bit, I think, because of the heat during the afternoon. But you can still go on out and get some fresh produce.
Especially in the mornings, because I believe they close around noon during the summer heat. And so you go out there and you can basically just walk around. You can pick your own fruits and vegetables if you want. And if you're daring enough, maybe go nearby where they have the bees.
Yeah.
Bees, it's been a great year for the bees as well, and that means that we're going to have a good crop of honey later on this year as well.
Nothing like some local honey.
Oh, it's
I'm
the
telling
best.
you.
The
For
best.
allergies, everything.
Everything.
Don't
Everything.
get Les and I started. We're all about finding the natural, the nature's medicines, right?
We talk about that all the time.
We do.
Yeah.
Les and I are back here always talking about all that
Yeah.
good stuff. But Les, certainly a pleasure to have you joining us today.
Always great to be here. Always great to share things with our viewers
Yeah.
and with you as well.
Yeah, this is always a good time. So thanks so much for tuning in to First Alert Weather Extra. This is your first time joining us. Great to have you along. We'll be, of course, posting more of these on our website, fox5vegas.com, and you can always catch us as well on our digital channel, Fox 5 Vegas Plus. On behalf of meteorologist Les Crittenden, I'm Chief Meteorologist Sam Margier. We'll see you next time right here on First Alert Weather Extra.